Good evening. Let's give it up for DJ Brina. Woo! Come on with the energy this evening. I am Y. Lori Taylor, your host and moderator this evening for Pivoting Over 40. Y'all ready? So I got a secret in here. Who's not afraid to tell their age? Okay, I love it. We some proud black women. Come on, come on. Who in here is over 40? Yes. So I have some fabulous women joining me on the stage tonight. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about their journeys. We're going to give you some of their secrets for pivoting, and we're going to also leave some time for you guys to have Q&A. But believe me, this will be a very interactive conversation. So if there's a time and a place and you feel like I just need to know a little bit more about that answer, please just raise your hand very politely, and we'll get those questions answered for you. Coming to the stage first, Michaela Pobbin. So designer of Dressed in Joy. Voila, I'm wearing Dressed in Joy. From IT to influencing to fashion designer, Michaela is no stranger to pivoting and trying something new. A Chicago native, now a New Yorker. Living and running her successful clothing brand in Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn in the house. Tag teaming that with her husband and her 2 kids, she enjoys sharing life's ups and downs through her social media channels in hopes of inspiring others to live fully and joyfully. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Michaela. Coming to the stage next, Lindsay Stewart, the owner of Glam Expressway, a Jamaican-Canadian lady of many trades with a love for fashion, business, beauty, and entrepreneurship. She's been in the industry for over 10 years as an on-air host, professional makeup artist, and retail owner. She helps girls to navigate their journey to becoming a full-time entrepreneur, or even if you just desire to have a side hustle. You can follow Lindsay Stewart's journey on her Instagram page as she continues to share her knowledge of her lavish and stylish life. She has the confidence to incorporate the latest trends. Y'all catch out this sweater set 2-piece here? She gives you the tips and tricks of trade. Ladies and gentlemen, Lindsay Stewart. 50, where Selena Sincerely comes to the stage. Mom of 3, and she says she's still discovering who she is while navigating menopause, love, and life, and using her platform to dispel the untruths and misconceptions about aging. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what else I can say. She's just so fabulous. Selena Sincerely. Last but not least, joining us on the stage, on-air fashion expert and influencer. Check out her style, Antonia Fifi, all the way from Canada. This Trinidadian-born on-air fashion expert is a star of CTV's The Good Stuff, and she's an award-winning fashion influencer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Antonia. So you all received a card this evening when you came in. This beautiful card here has a QR code on it. It actually has everyone's Instagram, and y'all know how this works, right? Go live, share the journey, share the event, use the hashtags Samsung837, as well as hashtag Pivoting Over 40. All of our wonderful panelists, let's get started. So clearly fashion is the topic this evening. I want you all to describe in 3 words or less your fashion style.
Y'all already know what I'm gonna say, right? Joyful is number 1. Comfortable. I like to be comfortable. I don't like to feel too stuffy, like I gotta fix my clothes all the time. And I think those are just my 2 words. Colorful is another.
I like it.
Did you forget Prince?
I mean, prints are joyful, right?
Okay.
And if it's a print, then it has to be colorful, because it has to be at least 2.
That is correct. Lindsay, what about you?
Yeah, I would say for me, funky, eclectic, and boho chic, maybe boho, a little bit of glam, but definitely more eclectic.
Okay, I like it. Selena.
So I discussed this with my son earlier, and one of my words was unapologetic, and he said, "You're doing too much. You're doing too much." And I felt that that's how I feel. So unapologetic, ageless, and fluid, whatever the day brings.
Okay, I love this question because I feel like as a stylist, it's really important when you are thinking of your wardrobe, when you're putting your clothes on, that you have that, like this is actually, you know, a method. You have 3 words, what does my style look like? Is this outfit adhering to that? And I feel like anytime I wear something that doesn't incorporate these 3 words, I know something is off. And so they are bold, usually in my accessories, feminine, which, you know, is so interesting because I never considered myself feminine, and then so many people from my following constantly said that word, and I think because I grew up thinking that I was so boxy and boyish, and feminine is not a word that I assigned to myself, so now I own it, feminine, and definitely bohemian, and if I can do a double barrel, I have to say it's Caribbean bohemian.
Hey! Clearly, we have a Caribbean audience this evening. Michaela, you and Lindsay tag teamed and felt like this conversation was a must-have. Talk to me a little bit about how the idea was born, as well as what you wanted to share with this audience this evening.
Yeah, so it started a year ago for me, I think, when I shared the video about blooming late and finding myself and finding my joy a little bit later in life, having children a little bit later in life. And it seemed to resonate with a lot of people. And I thought, you know, this is an important conversation. I didn't really realize how many people would relate to that, whether they were in their 40s, close to 40, or well before turning 40. It really touched a lot of people, and that touched me, that my story touched people. So it's kind of been in my head for a while, and then Lindsay and I were discussing just being able to share our journey in business and helping other women with that. So I thought, you know, she would be the perfect person to do this with.
Yeah, and I think we both realized that the fashion industry in New York can be so cliquey and exclusive. So if you didn't go to one of the major fashion schools or intern with one of the luxury fashion houses, you know, you can kind of get snubbed out or feel like you're snubbed out of certain events or not get the same level of respect. But it's like anything else. If there is a lane where you know you have something to offer and you can make money, who's to tell you that it's too late or you're shut out of this? You can absolutely make your own lane. And I think that was a big part of the impetus too.
It's important that you said making your own lane, so I'm going to jump over to you, Selena, and I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give to women who are thinking about pivoting later in life and pursuing their dreams? And don't tell us just do it. Give me a little bit deeper conversation than that.
Well, you should just do it. But the main thing is that you just take a chance. When I decided to pursue my Instagram and in fashion, it was literally COVID kind of made me really be intentional, because I've been on Instagram for 8 years and nobody cared. And then I just decided this is going to be the time. And I don't have many pearls, but one of the things I do try to say to people all the time is this: for whatever reason, we believe tomorrow is promised, and it is not. And so if you have a desire to do something or a dream to do something or a plan to do something, just try it. That's the only thing that is holding you back is yourself. So if you need a support system, if you need friends, if you reach out to people, because all the ladies up here have people that reach out to them, just try to find your community and your people and just start. I know we're not supposed to say that, but you really do just have to try. And anything that you do, you take a picture, it's not good, you can take it down. You try to do a design, it doesn't work, you do it again. You want to do a TikTok dance, it doesn't work, try it again. So just, even though we're supposed to expound, at least try and take a chance on yourself.
Antonia?
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I think, you know, I think regret is more painful than failure. So I agree with we just try. I would say, you know, I think I was really lucky in that I grew up in a household where age was never displayed to me as a barrier. So I never conceived it that way. So in my entire journey, getting older, actually, I've always been really excited about aging. So approaching 40, I wasn't nervous. And even now, I just see it, so this is my advice. My advice is to consider it a strength rather than a weakness, because the minute that you think of something as a weakness, then you give it this certain amount of power over you, right? And, you know, we are so much wiser now than we were. I know that a large part of my success is that I've accumulated all of this information from all of my past experiences, and now I get to implement that in this space. And we have also, not only are we wiser, so we have, you know, time on our side, but we have also reached a point in our lives where we have, more so than the younger version of ourselves, emancipated ourselves from mental slavery, you know?
Absolutely.
So all of that energy that we spent in our 20s worrying about what everything looked like and where it fell, we've moved a little further away from that. And that energy, when you redirect that, I mean, like, spoiler alert, everything that I'm going to say is about your mental state, because I really believe in the power of our minds. So when you redirect that energy, now we have all of this to pour into yourselves. So considering age as a strength would be my advice.
Good advice. Lindsay, what about you?
Absolutely. To add on that, you know, you've had at least 20 years of life experience now, whether you were working in corporate America and you were making spreadsheets and sending invoices, or maybe you were a mom and you saw a gap in the market for aftercare for maternity. Maybe you're a dog walker and you realize there are no organic dog treats. Whatever it is, you know, you have this unique, special experience that's unique to you. And if you turn that around and then ask yourself, how can I use my gifts or my personal experience to help people or find a gap in the market, you should be able to generate a few ideas right there if you didn't know what you wanted to pivot to. And then once you know what that is, I always recommend, people never want to do this because it's like, it's work, it takes time, but I always recommend people to make a business plan, because it's your step-by-step guide to accomplishing whatever it is, whether it's a service-based business or a product-based business. It's literally going to tell you, this is what you have to do next, this is what you have to do next. And it gives you the answers to all the questions that naysayers are going to ask you, like, well, what's going to make your hair salon different, or what's going to make your boutique different? You have those answers. And if you ever need to look for funding, you need to have those 3-year projections and that business plan. And you know, if you're opening a service-based business, you need to have, you know, the lease, your bank statements, but most important, you need to have the business plan so that you have a guide. You can answer all these questions to all the naysayers and all the people. You know the direction, you know the branding. It's just the pathway you want to take going forward. So that's what I would recommend.
Michaela, what about you? So you've done it twice. So you should have all the good tips.
Well, I think, like the other ladies, it's really about the life experiences that you've had. So I worked in IT for a really long time. I moved from Chicago to Hawaii to New York, like just so many different experiences that have kind of taught me different things along the way that have really helped me in the business. So I've learned so much, especially with working with IT. Now I can build a website. Now I know how to do graphics. Now I know how to do so many different things that I wouldn't have known how to do if I tried to run this business 20 years ago. So really your life experiences should feel like an advantage for you, and not your age being a disadvantage, but your age being the experiences that you have, and then using that as an advantage to continue or to start your business.
Thank you, Antonia. So your story talks about relocating for the purpose of building a business and really starting anew. So we talk about pivoting, right? But you said, I'm going to pack up, leave home, and I'm going to move to a new place. Tell us a little bit about that journey and some of the lessons in that.
Okay, so when I moved, it wasn't for a job. It wasn't, you know, to start over. It was for my son. So my son is neurologically atypical, and I wanted to move from Trinidad and Tobago, if that's not obvious, to Toronto, Canada, to take him to a specific cognitive therapeutic school there. So anyway, so all of that, so because of that, I needed to start over, and I was, unemployed essentially. And, what it made me realize is that you really need to know your why. Why are you doing this? Because for a really long time, if anyone asked me to describe myself, I would have said that I am risk averse, I'm afraid of taking risks, and that I would probably have described myself even as a little bit lazy. And I think, there's so much messaging that we grew up with and all these types of things. And those are two things I would have thought. And now I wonder, who was I talking about? Because I literally, picked up my family, and we know, all the wives here know that we pick up the family. I picked up my family and moved to another country and started over in a job that didn't even really exist in the country that I lived in, and all of these things. And now I can't believe that's how I would have described myself. But that was because I was doing it for my son, right? And therefore, I realized that it's about your why, and not that I was risk averse, but that the reward, not that the risk was too big, but that the rewards were too small. When I found my why, then I found my motivation, right? And so for a lot of us, that why sometimes it doesn't, it's not like, some people are motivated by money, by whatever other things you're motivated by, but some of us, it might be the passion and love, and Lucas is his name. He was a representation at that time of my passions, and so sometimes we need to go after something else. But either way, you need to figure out what that is. What is it that drives you? And I would say that's a really important factor in deciding where you go next and how you continue to go.
I like that. So everyone on the stage is a mom.
Yeah.
Everyone has navigated doing something that traditionally we might not have seen in prior years or growing up in our community. Some of us have children with disabilities in our homes. Mm-hmm. Some of us have navigated love the second, third time around. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about, how do you really prioritize yourself in the midst of building a business? Lindsay, you look like you're just ready.
I'm ready to exclude myself and learn from all the other ladies, because I am not good with self-care, and I overthink and I don't sleep, so I'm going to learn from you other ladies.
So I used to think that self-care was getting a massage and going and get my nails and my toes done, and none of that jives with me. Like, I have no interest in any of that. So I was like, well, then I'll just go on a vacation, but I can't go on vacation all the time. So what is my self-care? And then I realized that I like to be alone. I like my quiet time. And with two very rambunctious children and a Gemini husband that likes to talk a lot, I don't get the quiet time very often. So that is my self-care, like going into the bedroom a little bit early, maybe an hour early if I'm scrolling, when he goes out for a run and the kids are in their room, like just quiet. That's my self-care. That's all I want, just some quiet.
Anybody else?
Yeah, sure. I think that I suffer with a lot of anxiety. Like, I think I'm a very anxious person. Like, I'm anxious all the time. And I've realized that, a lot of time anxiety is what tells us that we can't accomplish things, that we have this, this laundry list of things and none of it can get done, and therefore I can't get to the gym, or I can't do this, I can't do that because I have so much to do. But really, I think I've realized that that's my brain, those are lies that my brain is telling me, because that's how anxiety lives. And when I make the time, I go to the gym, that's my therapy, or I go to therapy, I take the hour for therapy, or whatever those other things are that you need to calm your nervous system, get those things done, and then that laundry list all of a sudden becomes so much more manageable because it is mental.
Go ahead.
I'm all over the place, so whatever she's doing, I'm gonna try. Because listen, I am the only one up here that actually has a full-time job on top of being a content creator. So I'm tired. I'm tired all the time. I don't know how to prioritize. I'm a mess. I'm taking content at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to work at 8. He's coming with me, my wonderful fiance, on the weekend while I'm changing in my car to batch
Come on,
content.
fiance.
I do not, that's the fiance. I do not, I'm all over the place. So self-care is probably putting something in the Zara cart on my phone. But I'm with Michaela. It's like going to get if you saw these nails close up, you'd be shamed. Going to get my nails done or going to get a massage, I don't have the patience because my mind is constantly like, oh my God, I got to answer these people, or oh, I got to do this, or oh, I got to do the laundry, or who's picking up the laundry? So for me, I'm still learning how to prioritize myself. So there's been times when he has to give me a meal because he's like, you didn't really eat much today. And I could miss a meal, but he still will make sure because it's constant going. So it is a balance, and it is a challenge. So if people show you like making a smoothie in that beautiful kitchen in the morning, and then opening the laptop and doing a little typing, looking out the window, it's not real. It is not real. Because that little square of their house is all that looks good, because people are always like, I would love to see your closet. So would I. So would I. My closet, my house is a mess. Every time my fiance, I'm like, I'm gonna get those boxes. And he's like, did I say anything? Your eyes are saying it. And that's the reality of it. So when you get discouraged or you think like people's lives look a certain way or they're doing something a certain way, it is not real. There's a young lady I met earlier that said she is a organizer in the back, and I asked her if she will sign an NDA because you can't see what's going on in my house. This is my cry tissue because I cry all the time. So some of us are struggling. I'm struggling trying to manage and prioritize and keep everything together. And Fashion Week whipped my whole entire ass. I got it in at like 11:30 at night. Do you know what time I sleep? I'm 52. And then had to go to work, and people talk to me. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So we're winging it. We're winging it. So don't get discouraged.
So I'm going to go a little off script. Hopefully this doesn't throw everyone off. I'm curious to know when you figured out that you were onto something in fashion. And you have a couple of seconds to think about it.
Since I was about 11 years old, and my parents got divorced, and my dad used to give my mom, like money to take care of us, and she gave it to us in our hands, and I spent every dime on clothes. So I knew that from really early, but I actually did my second degree in fashion design. I have a fashion design degree, and first in business, and then, I've worked in fashion my whole life, so first job was as a fashion buyer, and then I moved back to Trinidad and I opened my boutiques and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, point was that, my mother gave me it was like 500 US a month, and at 12, I was spending it on clothes, like the whole thing blown. So from day one.
It was early for me too. Sabrina, our DJ, will tell you we've known each other since we were 10, 12 years old. And she would always be like, how do you get your shirt tucked so perfectly every single time? Like the way it hangs, like everything is just so, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just how I do it. And just from early on, like we'd be switching shoes, and because we went to different schools, of course, so nobody knew that we were switching shoes. They just thought, dang, she got those too? Like, but yeah, early on, it was very early for me, but I never knew that, or never imagined that it could actually be something that I could make money at. It was just like, oh, I love fashion, I love to look good, and that's just gonna be the end of it.
Anybody else want to chime in?
I mean, I always was a fashion admirer, always loved fashion. And growing up in the Caribbean, we actually, a lot of times when there was a special event, we would have a dressmaker make our clothes, and my mother used to let us design what we wanted to wear to whatever family event. We would buy the fabric and then get it done. But my parents never encouraged a career in fashion, because you're nodding, Caribbean parents are like, you have to
Doctors and
academic.
lawyers.
That's a hobby.
Doctors and lawyers.
So I was never encouraged in that direction. I think for me, I saw a need in my neighborhood, well, the area where my boutique is, and a lot of the success early on before the pandemic was locational, and I'm very honest about that. I always saw the neighborhood growing and saw the need for something like that there. And at one point, I even stood outside where I was gonna rent my store for an hour on a weekend, and there's a boutique 2 doors down, you know, because you had one around there too. There was a boutique 2 doors down, and I watched it on the weekend for an hour and just counted how many people went in and out, and I saw like 8, 9 groups of people going in an hour. And I remember I was so excited, I told my husband, who's here, and he's amazing, but he was like, babe, you gotta remember, they've been around for a long time, they have a cult following, it's a different vibe, they have men's stuff. You know, when people do that, they care about you. It's not that they're, you know, pooping on you, but he was definitely very realistic, and, you know, everyone was very realistic about it, but I was like, if they have that traffic right there, I know I can source things that people like. I know I can reasonably believe that I could have the same success.
So I'm going to come back to you because I have something for you. But I love that you said you did a little homework and you stood outside. Tell me some other lessons you've learned along the journey. And they could be financial, they could be, you know, as a solopreneur before you were able to build the business. Talk to us a little bit about that. Because I think so long, this is a community in this room, and yet we still exist by ourselves a lot. And I wanna change that narrative tonight. So I'm gonna ask you to start sharing that, Lindsay.
Okay, you said tips.
Lessons learned, some aha moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely did my research, and there was definitely a lot of ups and downs along the way. In the beginning, I definitely relied on just people coming through the door, coming to me. You know, as I said, it was locational, so I would just really just wait for people to come in. But then after the pandemic and after, you know, having to be closed for 4 months, and my landlord was like, you could pay rent or you could go. So I sunk my savings. And at that point, I had to pivot and learn how to make content like these ladies, because I was like, I have to take my store to people instead of waiting for them to come to me. And there's so much power. Like, a lot of these influencers are like marketing geniuses if you study them. But because this is about, you know, pivoting after a certain age, I would say that, you know, absolutely, I had to pivot. That was definitely learning to make the content and everything. But in the beginning, I worked 6, 7 days a week, like a crazy person. You know, you open up a business because you want to have all this free time, but you work like a dog in the beginning. And I will say it's great to do that in the beginning because it's great to learn all aspects of the business and what needs to be done, right? Because then you can set up your strategies for when you do hire people. You know exactly what needs to happen every day for things to function successfully. But now something that I would think would be is very valuable for everyone in here, and just everyone, because a lot of people don't know this, but in New York, the government has a program called SYEP. It's like Summer Youth Internship Program. They actually run it throughout the year. And if you have a physical place of business, you can get up to 12 interns. Can you imagine? I had 4 this summer. Wow. The government pays them. Wow. So you're not paying them. I'll be honest, I started with 4 and I ended with 2. You know, there's mentoring involved, and, you know, I don't want to take up too much time, but the SYEP program, if you look into it, if you have a small business or a place of business and you need help, definitely look into that, because these people need experience, they need mentorship, and then you have all the manpower and help you need to run your business. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, I love that. So we're gonna take a couple of questions, and I have a few more. Anyone brave enough to ask the question? Yes, please, stand up so we can hear you, please.
Hi. I'm Treasure. And I started a very Caribbean-focused brand as well. I just want to know what you think, especially in regards to fashion and influence, what do you think culture does to support your brands and businesses? Good question.
Culture in terms of...
Like your background, your own comprehension of your culture.
Oh, my culture is Black culture. I don't My parents are from Cleveland, Ohio, and South Carolina, so I'll be honest and say that that culture didn't support where I am right now or what I'm doing right now, because it was very get a job, get a 401k, have benefits, and I did that for a very long time, but I totally went against that in what I'm doing now. My mom is super supportive now. She wants me to send her everything, and she takes pictures in her little caftan, which I just absolutely love. But yeah, it was, what I'm doing now is not at all what I was I didn't even know entrepreneurship was a thing that I could be successful at, or something where I could support my family or live my life every day working for a business and not working for a business I own and not like working for someone else at the same time.
I would say that the idea of entrepreneurship was never too foreign or scary to me. Both of my parents were self-employed growing up, and I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica, and a lot of people start businesses out of necessity. So if you can move the big blocks of ice to the venue of the party, you're the ice man, you have a business, you know? So I just never, the thought of it wasn't so terrifying and scary for me. Personally, in my culture.
Yes, in the black leather jacket. You have to stand up. We take up room. There you go. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, ladies. So my question is about pushing forward and finding new inspiration. I'm a graphic designer. I've had my business for 15 years, and I'm kind of feeling like, I don't know if I'm bored. I don't know what it is, but I'm just looking for more motivation.
What's your Instagram handle? Because we're all community in here.
RC by Design, RC by Design.
Do you normally do, what type of graphics? What type of businesses normally find you?
So I do a lot of logos and WordPress websites. That's
Okay.
my specialty, but lately organizations have been hiring me to design reports and presentations.
Okay, so you've pivoted somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it work you enjoy?
I don't think I'm happy. I think because I've been doing it so long and I think I can do it in my sleep, I'm not motivated. Like, the money is no longer the motivation.
So the challenge isn't there, the joy isn't there, so you're feeling less motivated than you were because of that. I think learning something new might really help. Something you haven't done before, maybe it's a program, maybe it's a style, Shopify websites as opposed to WordPress. Something that's going to challenge you a little bit might make you feel more motivated in what you do.
So about 10 years ago, probably a little bit longer, I realized that although I loved my six-figure IT job, I loved black women more. And so you will be hard-pressed to ever find me in anything in my career that is not involving black women.
All my clients are black. All of them.
So I think you got to sit down and say, and it's the Abe Lincoln model, and I don't really want to use him as the model. You just got to say, what are the pros and the cons? Or what do I love? And what could I let go?
Or what's your why?
Yeah. Go back to your why. Because it could be maybe the client mix isn't giving you the inspiration. And it could be you just need a totally different thing. But you really got to do a hard introspective look and figure out what it is that you don't like about it. You probably excel and you're probably really good at it. And somebody in here is going to walk up to you, and maybe you just need that exciting project. When you find that exciting project, go find more of those exciting projects.
Thank you.
I think that one thing that we tend to do is put pressure on external things and people to motivate us and make us happy. And I think that exactly why Lori is saying is that you need to look into yourself and maybe do some soul searching to decide what it is that's making you so unhappy and what would make you happy. And if you want to make, vegan dog treats, and that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do, because once the money is not the motivator, and once the joy is not there, what is there? So hopefully you will, leave out of here in an aha moment, and you'll be like, I know what I want to do. I want to be an astronaut, and do it, and that's okay.
You made such a good point when you said what aspect of it do you like and not like, because we all know that even when you love your career or your job or whatever, there's always parts that you absolutely hate, right? So if it's the personal interaction, I know a lot of girls that are making so much money doing this remote work, working for like 5, 10 companies, just doing small projects, remote work, making so much money. But as I said, you have to analyze, is it parts of it I don't like, or is it actually I don't feel like creating this way anymore, right?
My day job, I create in my day job too. Like I do graphics for my day job, and then I have my business. So I like creating. That's not the problem. I'm always creating. Maybe it's the interaction with clients, or maybe, like you said, just more exciting projects. So I'll look into it. I think also my why was my mom, and I lost my mom. So
Sorry.
thank you. So I don't know what, I guess, to do now.
That's interesting. I'm sorry to hear about your mom. But at first, it was my son, because I moved somewhere else. I had to get a job. I needed to start over. I needed to do something. And so he motivated me to, okay, I can do this. Like, I got this. I'm going to start this. I'm going to get into social media, et cetera, et cetera. And now, that was 5 years ago. And eventually, he got to a point where I knew that he was going to be okay. So that wasn't really a motivating force to, like, push anymore. And I didn't love social media, really, until earlier this year, because I think that the type of content that I was creating, it was taking a lot out of me to figure out, like, to be creative, because it wasn't really me. And this year, that's why I love that you said, you loved your 6-figure job, but you love Black women more. But this year, I totally pivoted and I shifted, and all of my content now is about our culture, like about Caribbean culture. It's about me showing up as me. And now, so, that might be something that you want to look at. Now that what I create feels like me, now that I enjoy doing it, so that might be it, that you need to look at projects that you enjoy the creation process. And now my why is for Black women, and it's for, like, the Caribbean community in Toronto, to be honest, like, really strongly, like, my Canadian community. It like hits me so hard to redefine what being Caribbean means, that, like, there's nothing that motivates me more. So that might be something that you want to look at. Yeah, you're welcome.
And our favorite answer on this stage, there's always therapy.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
There's a young lady up there, too.
The mic is coming.
Hi. I would like to know from each of you, how do you get over and push past negative self-talk?
I honestly tell myself to stop. I will,
Yeah.
if I have to say it out loud, I will say it out loud. And I actually had to do this on Sunday. I'll tell you a little story. We were on our way to the city to see the Times Square billboard, and I was upset about something, and I'm like stewing on it, and I'm upset, and I was about to start telling Dre about it. And you know what? I was like, I literally said, "Stop, Michaela." And he was like, what, tell me what it is. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna continue in this. The thoughts don't serve me. The ideas that I had don't serve my purpose. They don't serve what I wanna do. They don't serve my life. So there's no need to continue talking about it. So you really have to, be in tune with yourself in a way that you feel those emotions coming up for you. If they're bubbling up and you feel it bubbling up, you have to physically stop yourself, because it's very easy to go back into a very comfortable place. Sometimes that fear is a comfortable place for you, and you fall back into it because that's where you're used to being. So when you get into an uncomfortable space of feeling good about yourself or proud of yourself, and that's uncomfortable for you, it's easier for you to be like, oh, well, girl, that's not really nothing, and that's not really that big, because that's where you're used to being. But you have to feel those very uncomfortable feelings so that that becomes your comfortable space, and you no longer fall back into the fear, into the whatever those bad feelings are. You don't want to fall back into that. You want the happiness, the joy, the being proud of yourself. You want those feelings to be your comfortable space.
I know that it's easier said than done because, you know, I'm much older than a lot of you in here. And at 52, we didn't know those terms like imposter syndrome and all that. And I felt it. We've all felt it. And you definitely have to, you know, learn some positive self-talk because that's the most important thing. And the last year, the last 12 months, 18 months, I had to continue to tell myself that I am supposed to be here. Any room that I'm in, I'm supposed to be here. And when Michaela invited me to this, you would have thought that she had got me tickets to see Beyonce because I kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And when the billboard was in Times Square, I got my tissue because I cry all the time. And I was so excited. I literally, if you didn't know, on YouTube, there is a live feed of Times Square 24 hours. So I was at work, hopefully they don't see this, for 2 hours like this. And it circled around the whole Times Square. And every time it got close to us, it would move. And I'm back watching because I was so excited for myself at 52. And you have to be proud of yourself. You have to be proud of yourself.
I think everybody who is self-employed, or you guys even more so because you're out there, more your image is out there, it's easy to have that negative self-talk and have that imposter syndrome because, you know, the Times Square thing, going back to that, my first reaction was to like minimize it and be like, oh, no, they do it when they have events and, you know? And then one of my friends messaged me and she said, look, pan like a Jamaican girl, pan the Times Square billboard. And that's when I was like, it's pretty cool. And it's okay to say that and feel that way.
Yeah, right.
But something tactical for this lovely woman who had the question is that when you have anxiety or nervous about something, a practice I read a long time ago in a self-help book that I still do every now and then, it's kind of corny, but if you're anxious or nervous about something or you have something to do or that negative self-talk is coming, if you write down your ideal day, what that would look like, from beginning to end, it puts it in your brain and it like makes it happen. It's weird, but if you write down that ideal day and how you want it to be and what you want to eat and how you want to look and this connection you're going to make and this business connection you're going to make, it could happen, you know, manifesting it. That helps to like get rid of the negative thoughts and put a forward motion of something positive on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this is something that I have been working on for a while. I think that it's part of you know, why I'm here today. And it was, one, we spoke about it earlier, is that I started therapy. And I think it's something that we all need to do, something that we all maybe don't talk about. And I started really dealing with my childhood trauma, another thing that a lot of us don't talk about. I mean, even just like wearing my hair the way that I wear it now is like is healing. This is what you call healing, you know? And part of that was dealing with the causes of those trauma, talking to my mother, going on trips with her, because for a lot of us, those relationships were difficult relationships. And I have done a lot of deep work with my therapist, with the people that, you know, maybe initiated some of those, some of that anxiety. And I think it's work that all of us women need to do.
Yep. Yeah.
Unpack those feelings. I echo those thoughts.
Mm-hmm. This young lady up there.
Hi, I just want to say thank you for your time. I really appreciate everything that you've shared thus far. One thing I would like to ask, and I'm having difficulty trying to formulate the question, but basically, social media is the reason that I'm here. It's the reason that we've found out. It's the reason why some of you have become successful. But how do you create a balance? Because sometimes I find myself obviously spending too much time on social media, and you have social media time for personal, and then you have social media time for business. How do you manage that?
I'm so bad at that. My default is to just pick up my phone and scroll like it's, oh, I'm working. But what I have done though, at 6:30 my phone goes dark. I still may get some notifications, but I don't see the light pop up on my phone, and that helps me to like leave it alone and not pick it up as much. And I did that because we finally got random, but we finally moved into a space where we had a dining room table. We could all sit together and eat. So I didn't want those notifications to disrupt our family time eating dinner together. So I started to do that at 6:30, then it goes completely dark at 10 o'clock. And like I said, I do my best to try not to pick it up as much as possible. But there are times when you, especially running a business, where you need to just kind of, you really do need to scroll, whether it's to get some creative ideas, look for trending sounds. You just have to do it. So maybe it's that you schedule some time during your day. I'm going to give myself an hour and a half between 11:30 and 1 o'clock to just scroll and do what I need to do, and then I'm on to the next thing. But yeah, I'm not very good at it. I'm doing my best, but.
Can I ask, you said that you spend some time doing it for work, and how are you spending the time when you do it for work?
Okay, so I have actually, I do have like 3 Instagram handles that I manage. And one is professional, one is for like a side hustle, and then the other is just my personal. But I haven't even gotten into the, like, I don't even know how to use TikTok, and I'm so terrified, and I don't know how I'm even going to have the time for that when I'm just doing the 3 that I have now. So I guess I just want some more insight.
Right.
I haven't managed it at all. I'm all on it all the time. I can't stop. I don't know how people do it. My money is there. I'm making money while I'm sorry. I haven't figured it out yet. And I'm at work and I'm looking. I'm in the bathroom looking. I don't know. People say that they're not looking. God bless you. I'm looking, okay? I'm looking what you doing, what you got on. I'm checking DMs, people sending me messages. I'm looking. I haven't prioritized. So if you get away, DM me and tell me, because I don't know how to stop. I am 1,000% addicted. 1,000% addicted. But absolutely. And then I got like a couple followers on TikToks, and I'm over there. And then somebody's like, do a YouTube, and I'm like, let me get to YouTube. And I have a job, and I have the most delicious fiance, and I have children.
Delicious.
It's not enough time in the day. I can't even do it. And then I tricked my daughter getting here to be like, listen, don't you want to drive? And then it's scroll while she's driving. Listen, I haven't prioritized. I have not figured out how to do it. So for people who can, my daughter was good. She would like literally take it off her phone and take a break and detox. And I'm like, I'm missing money. I can't take it off my phone. What you talking about? So I have to get better. I definitely have to get better, because it's an addiction like anything else. And when people tell you it's not, it 100% is. It's FOMO. It's, Fashion Week made you want to be everywhere. So it's very hard. So if people have tips, I'm ready to hear them.
Well, the one thing that I will say is that I feel like, for one, if you're on it, if you're spending 8 hours and it's your job, then that's fine, because we're supposed to be working, well, we're not supposed to be, but let's say you would be working an 8-hour day. I am a full-time content creator, so I allow myself that grace. At the same time, though, I feel like a lot of us think that we need to prioritize a lot of time to interact with other accounts, and we need to do all of this scrolling. I'm sorry, guys, but I haven't seen anything you've posted in the last year.
You and me both.
I don't scroll. And honestly, because I don't have the time to scroll, because I'm so busy, coming up, answering my DMs for one. I ensure that I engage with my followers because those are the people that I feel like I owe something to, right? So I want to respond to all my messages, and you can't get through all of them unless you have an assistant, really, because it's not possible, but I try my best. But if you're spending a lot of time scrolling, thinking that that's important to grow your account, I think it's a lot more important to spend that time creating content, thinking of figuring out what do my followers actually want? What is the value that I'm offering them? Ensure that you think of it like a business, like you have a storefront and stock isn't selling, so how do I need to restock? What do they actually want to buy? If your engagement is low, then your stock is not selling. So how do you raise that engagement? And that's not somehow, you know, someone told us that the algorithm works, that we need to ensure that we're constantly on there engaging with other accounts. I can guarantee you that that's not the case. Create good content and your account will be fine.
I see a question with the young lady in the black glasses right here.
Hello, my name is Sky. First, I want to say thank you because you guys have been like unadulteratedly, rawly telling the truth, and it really helped. So it was super appreciated. My question for you is, we know that consistency wins. So what do you do when you fall into the rut of you can't find that consistency? You're like hitting a brick wall, and either, well, it definitely affects your business. I was gonna say either you see it affecting your professional or your personal life because you just can't be consistent because everything may seem overwhelming, or it's just you're hitting that brick wall.
Okay, are you inconsistent because you're too busy to create the content or because you can't think of ideas?
Both. Overthinking,
Yeah.
I can say inconsistent because you're kind of, for me, let me just say for me, I'm overthinking, can't think the content, looking for the perfection, then having the talk like, you don't need perfection, you need to just do it, Sky. Why are you not doing it? Exactly. Then I'm like, because, okay, now it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
It's like, and seriously, it's like, and then you're like, okay, tomorrow. Okay, now I'm up.
Tomorrow's the day.
And then you're like, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day, right? So I wake up at 5:45 a.m. I'm walking the pooch. While I'm walking the pooch, I'm like, today's the day. This is the day. Hit the content. We're gonna do it. Yeah. And I get inside, and then I'm like, so if I just paint this cabinet blue, and then, oh, let me move that. Oh, I have to answer emails. I'm at work. Right. Oh, shoot, it's 10:30 p.m.
So the issue is you were making the content, but you weren't making the content. So when you were out walking the pooch, that was content.
That's true too.
While you were talking about painting the cabinet, that is content. So when you are authentic to yourself, the content is gonna come. When you're too busy trying to strategize and be, let me see what's popular or let's work, what works, that's where the problem comes. When I stopped looking for locations and found my little wall that I take my pictures in front of, everybody gonna see that wall, and just started being Selena, I realized people show up for Selena. And so they're going to show up for you if you show who you are. Stop overthinking it. And you said that in the beginning, and you are conscious of it. But you don't have to. You really don't have to. Most accounts that are successful are people that are authentic. They show their lives. They show their fashion. They show their designs. That's what people want to interact with. I can't interact with, you know, people in Greece all the time on a speedboat or a private jet. That doesn't work for me. There are people who can, but you have to find your people, and then they're going to be happy to see you walk the pooch. Okay?
I also want to say that overthinking it initially, though, is part of the process. So don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, I got this wrong, and I'm wasting time in this space, and I'm blah blah blah. Because I feel like, you know, we can't walk before we crawl. Like every step of the process, part of it is confidence, right? Like none of us kind of just got up and we were so comfortable speaking in our stories. I remember a point in time when I felt like, oh my God, my voice sounds kind of boyish. Like, do I want to talk in my stories? Are they going to be so surprised when they hear the way that I speak? Like all of these things were going through my mind, and you know, it took some time. And I think that every single step is going to lead to the next. I know that sounds cliche and that sounds like a meme, but that is the truth. That first you do that. This is part of your process.
Yeah.
Like first you're going to be there, and then eventually you're going to do what Selena says, and you're going to feel like, okay, this feels comfortable. And then at some point in time, you may have mimicked something that somebody else did, but that was all, like there's no school for this, so that's all the learning process of, this is me getting comfortable just being in front of here almost with a script. I need a script first before I can just, wing it, right? So all of it is part of the process, and it takes time, and it's going to feel right when you don't need to think about it.
Right.
And start writing it down. When you have ideas, when something comes to you,
And
write it down.
If you don't have a pen, just record it on your phone.
Yes.
Notes on your phone when you see things.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what I do sometimes, if I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, or I like the sound, I will go to the sound, I'll just record my face, listening to the music, and then I'll write a note. Do this on this video. So then I go in my drafts, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was supposed to do this. So now I remember to go back and do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss this side. I see you, Danielle. I'm coming. Okay. I just want to make sure, yes. And then I'm coming right here. Sorry.
Hello, beautiful ladies. My name is Lou, short for Luann. I turned 51 in 2 days.
Come on. Happy birthday.
That's right.
Happy. And I think you become unapologetic when you get, I don't know, over 45, because I don't care what people think. But my why is my children, my 3 sons, and creating a legacy for them, and my first grandchild that's due in February. So that's my why. I'm an anesthesia provider by day, full-time job. I've been creating a whole industry or a whole business in the last 2 years in between patients. And my question is, I have a lot of technology at work that I use. When I get home, I'm dumb as a doorknob with most of the technology. If I could ask you guys about content creation, what was in your mind, first of all, organically growing your base of people who are following you? What posts did you post that you were surprised the next day you gained 500 new followers, 1,000 new followers? What kind of post was that?
You don't want me to tell you. Honestly, I don't even know, man. I can't even wrap my head around this. Every time, because I am very honest. I don't try and do, everything is perfect, da-da-da-da. My store got robbed this summer, and it was a pretty big robbery.
Wow.
And I had the guy's picture. I know you're not supposed to do things like this, because you're supposed to stay in a positive headspace and da-da-da-da-da. But I posted the guy who robbed my store, and I don't know, you guys were ready to come fight. I don't know. But it just made me realize that, like, people do want to see your real life, not like, oh, I look good, I'm going to this party. They want to see your real life, the ups and downs, and, people are a little sick. They like to see a little bit of, like...
Was that IG or
like
TikTok?
them in some way. They just want to know that you're a real person like they are.
Yeah, that's all I have to say for there.
For me, it was when I started to share things that I thought would be helpful to other people, or questions that I would get asked a lot. How do you pose? How do you mix prints? How do you put your colors together? And when I started to share those things in very quick videos, 15 seconds, because that's back when Instagram was only 15 seconds. The reels were only 15 seconds. And I would share, like, 3 different poses you can do. And when I tell you, like, millions of views on both TikTok and Instagram, and that's how my Instagram, I never expected that, because I'm like, oh, I'm just sharing something that I think people could find helpful. And really just doing that, like sharing what you think is helpful to people, or questions that you get asked in your everyday life that you think people would be interested to hear about. Those are the things that you want to share.
You'd be surprised. So I have a couple of sons. We all share some boys on this stage. One of my sons is on the spectrum. His videos get the most views. And really, it's just me saying, thank you, God. We got to the next hurdle. My last video was I recently left my job and decided that I wanted to enter a season of rest. And it was weighing heavy, heavy on me. But my son, we didn't have a sitter. for him in between school this year. He's on the spectrum. You don't just call anybody. So me having, or being forced, really, to care for him directly, we started walking together, and I realized he didn't understand stopping at the street corners. So in the video, he stopped at the street corner, and I posted it because I was on the street corner crying because he finally got it. And I was like, he stopped, and he didn't go into the street. I'm not screaming, Austin! You know, which is what I'm screaming all the way through. Everyone knows the boy's name. And I posted the video because I felt like, God, we did it. Like, we can do the next thing. And I was really shocked. And one of my interns, when she started working for me years ago, she said, your platform is really marriage, motherhood, and marketing. And I was like, I don't think so. Like, people really want to know. But then I got pregnant over 45 naturally. I had 100 and something DMs, and I remember Renee knew because she's close to me, and I was like, I can't respond to all these ladies, like, but I wanted to be helpful, and I didn't even know that that even mattered anymore. I was trying to go get out of shock of being pregnant, but other women were saying, okay, Lord, is still a chance for me. You know, she had right, raise your hand, sis, your day is coming. And I don't know how motherhood looks, it looks different for everybody.
Absolutely.
But your day is coming, and God was like, let me show her something different. She has a child, you know, who the world says has a disability, right? And then now she has a child who the world will welcome differently than my firstborn son. So, again, be you. You'd be very surprised.
Can I just ask, you were talking about your son on the spectrum. So I think a lot of us stay at our jobs, our full-time jobs, for a safety net. So you're saying that with a son who's on the spectrum or has special needs or special healthcare needs, how do you decide that I'm going to leave this job where I have good benefits and venture into the unknown? Or what are you all doing personally to say, okay, because if I fall and break a hip at 51, I need a little.
So I know some people are recording this. It was interesting because I've been saying this for years, and some people in this room have been hearing me say for years, it was overdue. And I knew my son needed more from me, so not having help this summer was like my eye-opener. And then he started having full sentences, which he was classified as nonverbal. And I said, well, maybe, and then his teacher started saying, what are you doing different? And I was like, I'm spending time. I'm home. And it just felt different. So I asked my husband, I said, can we survive off of one income? And he was like, At dinner, people who know my husband, he lives life hard, like to the fullest. He works really hard, but he lives life hard. We do the vacations, we do the Knicks games, the Jets games. I mean, we are like the on-the-go family. We never stay at home. And I was like, so we gotta give up some stuff. But look at our son. He went to bed the next day, he got up and he was like, I won't say it, F-U-C-K it. He's like, do it. If this is what our family needs, let's do it. But it took him, that probably was like the 4th time I mentioned it to him. And because I feel like I'm in a partnership, I didn't want to do it and him to have any resentment. But I knew I was doing it. And if he knows me, he knew it was coming. But I had to give him an opportunity to get there. I mean, when I was pregnant, he was passing out cigars. It took me months to even tell people I was pregnant. Because I just was like, wait, 45? I'll be 46. Like, what am I doing with another baby? Like, I finally felt like I was exercising. I was back down to myself. I was traveling. I was hanging with my girls. I was in therapy. You want to talk about postpartum therapy? Have a baby over 45. And then you're going to really need some therapy. So, again, I think, you know, everybody's not in a partnership. And if you're a single parent, I would say save for it. Get your community on board, because those stay-at-home moms, yo, I don't even know how y'all do it. And I have to remind my husband, this is a temporary thing here, because I don't like, don't think that every day when you come home, I'm going to look perfect. I'm still going to be in yoga pants with a bun. I'm just trying to have some rest and trying to rededicate myself to being a mother. I never saw myself in this position. And I don't know how long I'll be in it, but I'm okay with where I am in this season.
Also, I think if you have that safety net and you know you're not happy, you have to rip the Band-Aid off and just do it. Just go for it. You know, a lot of people are like, how soon did you open up your shop from when you got the lease? I think it was like a month or two, because I was like, I'm paying for this. I gotta be open next month. And I had never worked retail. I had never owned a boutique or anything before, but I was like, I'm gonna figure this out in 4 to 8 weeks, because I gotta pay already to keep the place, you know? So it's that, like, when your money is on the line, your back is against the wall, that's gonna push you more into success, because if you have this to fall back on and the benefits and all that, it's easy to say, oh, let me make the content tomorrow, or let me just do this the next time. But one of the things with this country that I love so much about this country, but I hate this in particular, in Canada, Antonio knows, I used to live in Canada. When you're pregnant in Canada, you're on maternity leave, you get a year off, and I believe some of that is paid, 8 or 9 months of that is paid. When I moved to New York, and I found out that you have a baby and it has patched you up and send you back out to work, what is it, 3 or 6 weeks later? You can't kill yourself for these corporations, because when I saw all these women hobbling back to work stitched up, you know, it's unreasonable. We really have to do something about that here, but it's just more reason to not fall back and think that this is your pillow comfort zone, because it can be pulled away too, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I think we have Danielle and then one more question. We're almost out of time.
I don't even know if I need it because my voice is so loud. But anyway, hello, good night, everybody. I wanted to know, I'm curious to know, what do you think the future is in terms of marketing, especially on social media, when it comes to our age group? Because, you know, as you know, after we reach a certain age, you know, marketers, brands, they tend to, you know, forget about us. They're already talking about Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha is what, at the oldest, maybe 10? They're already talking about Gen Alpha, and we millennials and Gen X, we're like, wait, hello. What do you think the future is when it comes to like our age group as 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
I think that there's a difference between, you know, there's a difference now with this generation, because the generation before us, they weren't necessarily on social media. They were barely on social media. We now are aging. We have the money. Marketers know that. Brands know that. Everyone knows that women over 40 are the ones that have all of the spending power and the decision-making power in the households. And we are still going to be on social media. So it's not like the 60-year-olds today or the 70-year-olds that are illiterate. You know what I mean? Like, my father's in his 80s, and he, you know, he's like still telling me, putting stuff on the WhatsApp chat and telling me that he posted something to the website. You know what I mean? So like, so there's a different literacy, and this generation, I think, is obviously we're going to continue to be on social media. We're not going to age out of it. And our followings are going to do the same. So I think we are going to still hold that power, because brands know. I mean, I'm one of the few, I think, in, you know, our community is a lot smaller than it is here in New York, in Toronto, and Canada in general. I'm one of the few influencers that are over 40, and I haven't yet felt that push out the door. I mean, what you're going to market obviously is going to change, and you might start getting approached for different things, but hey, the skincare industry has a lot more money to pay.
I think I just wanted to expound that the main thing that you should know, first thing is, you know, they're going to tell us something new every day, that this is the new term or whatever. The most important thing to know is that social media is not going to go anywhere. That is the wave of the future in marketing. Nobody watches commercials. That's why you have 2 different streaming platforms, one with commercials, one without. So no longer do they push things on television. Nobody buys a paper magazine. Social media is the biggest marketing engine. It is not going to go anywhere, and women over 40 are not going to go anywhere. And so brands know that, and if you want to start being on this platform and you want to start a business, it is now is the time. It is literally the wave of the future. There's going to be, you know, seeing your face on a billboard is great, but how many people in Times Square look up at a billboard? Everybody's on their phone walking around. You look at social media. You look at TikTok, you look like YouTube, you look, so if that is your goal and that's where you are, continue to do it, because that's where it's going to be.
You know who that is, right? Do you know Danielle? Because,
I don't.
Girl, she big, you know. She big. She should know.
No, I know she's a big influencer. No. I'm not saying that. I'm
Okay,
saying
good.
for everybody here
Yeah,
that
sure.
they should know.
Sure.
That,
Just
and
make
like
sure
she
not
said,
for-
in our age group. First of all, you don't have that kind of glow on that skin and not just be somebody just regular.
Come on.
That's not regular skin.
So one last question here, and then we have to start wrapping it up.
I didn't really have a question. I really wanted to just say thank you for being very raw, very real. 5-6 years ago, I've gone to some of these panel discussions and people ask questions and they weren't as honest as you guys have been tonight. And Michaela, I have to say, the panel, you guys are amazing. And again, you know, Selena, you saying, I don't know, like, I think that resonated with everyone because everyone is like, I don't know either, you know? And it's like, we don't feel bad about not knowing.
Tired. We're tired. Everybody's
Yeah.
trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to figure it out. And I think that for everyone up here, their platform, they're very honest, very, you know, authentic, and that's what resonates with people. And when you see the raw, when you see, you know, her having a very wholesome moment with her child and sharing that with the world is what people want to see. You know, everybody like a shoe. I love a shoe, you know, but people want to see real life, and they want to know that somebody is experiencing something, somebody is going to therapy, somebody doesn't want to push forward, somebody is closed a business and started a business, somebody was robbed. That's reality, and that's what people really want to see. And I agree with you. Years ago, it was different. We were all like this.
Very cliche.
So I appreciate that, saying that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give our panel a round of applause. Don't forget that you can scan the QR code. Everyone's social media is listed there. Please post your comments, post your videos, your clips from this evening using the hashtags Samsung837 and Pivoting Over 40. And a special thank you to Michaela for the inspiration behind this evening.
Thank you.
Her partner in crime, who she says she bounces things off of, Lindsay. And her special guests, Selena and Antonia. Shout out to DJ, she went away, DJ Bria.
And we also need to shout out the beautiful Lori, who really, she wasn't a moderator. Why is my mic not on?
Because they want us to get off. It's
want
like
us
the
to-
Apollo. They're about to drag us. They're trying to get us out of
Made
here.
this a real conversation, so I'm grateful for her to make this really something that everybody felt engaged in. So thank you.
Big ups, you guys.
Thank you.
Mix, mingle, ask the questions, take your pictures. Thank you to Samsung for tonight. Thank you, Nika, Shatima, and everyone else who was involved this evening. And have a great evening. Get home safe.
Thank you.